Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Ben Slinger, and with me, as always, is Trevor Scott.
Hello.
Hello. What are we doing this week, Trevor?
I think we're just going to do some ramped up click pitch, and that is a game where we've each got a random phrase generator in front of us. On the count of 3, 2, 1 click, we're going to get some random words, an adjective and a noun, and we're going to throw them at each other and come up with a game idea that will then spout off different ideas from that, and it will grow legs and, you know, go off running, and then we'll set it free into the world, and then we'll start again.
Shoot it in the back of the head and move on to something else.
Yes. We've done that a few times.
All right, well, let's jump right in. 3, 2, 1 click.
3, 2, 1 click.
Absorbed nostalgia.
Hostile bulb. B-U-L-B. Bulb.
Okay. Absorbed nostalgia, hostile bulb.
I mean, nostalgia is bringing to my mind, you know, an old song that we made years and years and years ago, just before Kura Dust, called Monochromatic, about someone who was looking back at old photos and found that the colors of the photos were actually a little bit more vivid, vibrant than his current life. Like, his current life was just run of the mill, and it's sort of like I could imagine someone getting absorbed in the nostalgia of that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, looking back at that song specifically, I think I clearly was in the beginning throes of depression and not realizing it. But but that can be a good sort of thing to build a game around, or to use some metaphors. So use some metaphors around color, and vibrancy and saturation.
I mean, we are kind of playing with that at the moment. But we will talk about that more in a couple of weeks.
That's a little bit different. Okay, and then I mean, the bulb is interesting then in the way that light comes into that as well. Maybe light is a factor of how they're experiencing the world too. Things not only seem more colourful, but like brighter,
saturated, as you were saying. Yeah. And hostile is, you know, that's just.
I mean,
depression
is hostile.
Yeah. It's all there. Yeah, I like this. I like it being an allegory for depression, and
I like the idea of having some sort of, you know, potentially flashbacks then. Where we are using that, and where we're using that color and maybe even
gaudy,
exaggerating it.
Yeah.
So, like, it's a flashback at your grandmother's place, who is this like larger than life woman who liked bright colors, and you know, she had the vegetables on her curtains, and you know, just a bright, colorful house, a grandma house. You know,
and of course, I think this probably works well in maybe a first person.
Yeah, this is almost what became a Edith Finch sort of vibe to me, where you've got the different little vignettes, and
where in this one you're a little bit lower down, and you've got a little bit more, you know, you got the scale of the world that, you know, any of these memories, it's all from when you were a kid, so the scale
when you're a child,
exaggerated,
and then you come. Like in between, you come back, and I feel like everything's, I don't know where you are necessarily, but like lit with fluorescence, desaturated.
As we're playing with like LUTs and all those sort of things would actually go well. For those out there who are not into all this talk, a LUT is a lookup table where it's basically they will select a color and assign a different color.
Yeah, essentially every color is in the table to look up a different color, and it will shift the palette or shift the look of it in a particular way.
Yeah. They get used all the time for like coloring film and
color grading and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually really kind of cool that you can enhance, you know, oranges and blues to get that sort of actiony tone a little bit more. And
so
I'm actually thinking we might be playing with like a black and white tone for the game that we're doing at the moment, but we'll talk
which we need to stop getting on topic to, even though we're excited to be making it.
Yeah. Okay, so I like this. I'm
I
saying
think you could think you could even have each flashback, each story, then be very
changes
different
the world a little bit.
aesthetically. What's coming to mind, and interestingly, is the original Psychonauts. You know how he goes into like that velvet.
Yep.
You know, so that sort of thing where things shift, and it's like, oh, now it's a memory of, like as a teenager, and you go to a nightclub or something, you know, with your friends or a bar or whatever it is. And so then it's a very different colourful aesthetic because it's like the dance lights and it's, you know, maybe not as saturated, but everything's, you know, you get that dance club vibe. And
yeah. God, I love Psychonauts.
Psychonauts is great for different aesthetics and different levels and that sort of thing. Really exploring different ideas.
Which did you like more? One or two?
Which Psychonauts?
Or Rhombus?
Look, I mean, Psychonauts 2 is really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Psychonauts 2 is more consistent as well.
Yes.
Like Psychonauts 1 is like has some fucking fantastic stuff in it, but then has some areas that are not quite as strong
of its time. Yes.
Yeah, and it is of its time, absolutely.
But
Psychonauts
2 was a lot
tighter,
and so
yeah, 2's great,
and it has Jack Black. So, I mean,
yeah.
3, 2, 1, click.
Yeah. Partitioned multiplication.
Exploding contributor.
Okay. So partition multiplication actually made me think of like some sort of like animal breeding. Mm-hmm. So they're multiplying and you're having to like partition them off in some way.
Yeah. Or the population explodes. Like they're like rabbits.
Yeah.
They start fucking like rabbits.
Do you know what I just thought of?
It's a magician's hat. And
well, from a gameplay perspective, and I know why this is in my head, but do you remember the game Jazzball? Of course you remember Jazzball.
Oh, yeah. God.
It's like a Windows 3.1 game.
Yeah. And
you had to click to separate the balls into different
yes.
areas, like it would draw a line across.
Yes. I love Jazzball. I remember it as something else well before that.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not the first. Yeah, that was the reason.
Go right across the middle, and it's like if you make it, you've just separated everything, and it's like
the reason it's in my head is because I've been listening finally to season 2 of Dungeons and Daddies, the end of it, and they use Jazzball as a way of deciding whether Wall of Death is Wall of Death or Wall of Fire, I think.
Yeah,
is successful. They have to play. They have to win a certain level of Jazzball.
Fair enough. That's actually kind of cool.
Yeah. So, but what I'm thinking here is you've got like male and female of these whatever animals these are, and you're having to separate them in some way to like, you know, either separate them, the males and the females, so they don't breed, or if you want, you know, a certain number of them, you know, maybe you need to end up with a certain number of them in each, or I don't know.
I'm just imagining that you partition one of them off and it's like, okay, now you got to set the mood, and
oh, maybe that is it. Maybe they'll only multiply if they're alone in a partition. What was you had exploding something
and contributor. I mean, contributor could just be, you know, who's your stud, and it's contributing to
It's contributing and exploding. That is interesting, but then I thought, what if you're breeding bombs in some way?
Breeding bombs, as in
like explosive devices
that have genetic components, and do they have souls?
I don't know. I don't know if they have souls. I mean, only as much as like chickens do. We don't have to. I just thought of like, okay, how could it work if you are you're trying to make a large enough explosion, but you don't have enough bombs, and so you have to partition them off so they will multiply to make a big enough explosion. This is getting a little out of hand, but
just imagining this bomb with these tiny little legs and like this beak. And it's like, it doesn't have a neck or anything. It's just this big round thing with a beak that just sort of sits at the front.
So they've actually got chicken elements. Yeah, so just chicken legs and a beak. And the male ones have a crest, like a rooster crest.
They just...
Well, then they lay little bombs once they've been fertilized.
Pretty much, but it's like, I'm now just imagining, because they don't have any, real articulation in the body, it's just this big sort of body. Yeah. They just sort of look at the other one and just spray.
Ew. They just spray. I think if they've got chicken legs, you could do it in the animation because they could kind of they could kind of roost a little bit, and then the other one could sort of be behind them, or I don't know. Are we really talking about how we're going to animate chicken bombs fucking?
We are.
One element that we didn't think of is are they on timers to explode? Like, is there a time element here where you have to have them procreate before their time is up? So maybe...
Isn't that the same with every living being? They're on a timer.
I mean, if you want to get philosophical about it, I suppose.
Ben, you're on a timer, and in time, it's tattooed on your wrist.
Okay, and when it reaches 0, I'm going to explode. Just viscera everywhere.
But yeah, I don't mind there being a timer, but for when you're actually using it, maybe you want to actually get, this one has a much shorter fuse, but it's more stable.
Oh, I see. That's where the genetic components come in. Yep. Yeah.
And you're breeding them for the army.
It's just literally for killing humans. It's a war crime simulator.
You want to kill all humans?
It's a very whimsical war crime simulator. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. Arrested attorney.
30 cosmology.
Oh, cosmology.
Yeah.
Is that the study of space, I guess?
Yeah.
Or the cosmos. Okay, why would...
And the number 30.
And the number 30.
Almost 15 years younger than what I am now.
A 30-year-old attorney.
Who just... I'm just wondering if it's like an attorney for, a university or something like that.
They've falsified, or maybe they've made a discovery.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not the attorney who's been arrested. Maybe
it doesn't have to be.
Whoever discovered this has been arrested because it's like this discovery threatens humanity as we know it. Like, it's maybe discovered it
threatens national security, and you've got basically. It's
government cover-up.
Even the idea of it being set over like a time period, like 30 is actually 30 minutes.
Like 30. Oh, okay. I was going to say 30 years.
Or 30 hours. It's like you've got this time limit to sort of do this, or they're sent off to like a Guantanamo Bay sort of situation, and you'll never get them out.
Yeah. So that was the 24 beeps.
Yeah. I got the reference.
You got it.
I have never actually seen 24.
None of it.
I
definitely watched it pretty regularly through the first few seasons.
I see that it is on Disney.
Oh, really? Yeah. I don't know how it would hold up. It might hold up okay. For what it was at the time, it was doing something a bit different. Thriller, hour-long thriller.
I'm currently watching Castle again. Not for the first time, not for the last time.
Not for the last.
We're in season 7 at the moment, and I'm definitely feeling the idea of, an attorney just trying to do everything to get their client out, and talking to different people, and trying to put the evidence together. And
the one honest lawyer in town.
We are kind of playing, both you and I have been playing the Roottrees are dead at the moment, and it's feeling like it's this sort of you're searching.
Okay.
Trying to find the evidence within the university intranet or something like that, and trying to find who is actually the person who
Well, maybe
Is someone
maybe you
falsifying the
don't
records?
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe then as the player, you don't know going into it what the discovery even is.
Yeah.
So you're playing this attorney who is trying to get their client off.
Yeah.
And through that, you, have to uncover what's happened. You do find some falsified documents or like pressure from the university to like not look into it further or whatever. You have to solve some, planetary or like solar alignment things or something to sort of recreate their discoveries or something. And then, like at the end of it, you sort of realize it's this big thing of they've discovered extraterrestrial life or something, or that's been hovering around Earth for the last 100 years.
Yeah, there's definitely something we can do there. Whether I'm so sold on the now the arrested and cosmology part, I just love the idea of having an attorney having to investigate something. In a Roottrees are dead sort of feel.
I think that's as good as anything. Yeah. I do like the idea of it being via a university. I think that gives some interesting
tracking their movements. So maybe the game is you've got like this is the timeline. And, you're tracking their movements over the day to actually see who really made the discovery, who has seen the discovery, who is, you don't mind if anyone else gets caught, but, your client is saying that they're innocent and they didn't falsify these records or whatever it is that...
Yeah. Well, I think I like in a... So, I mean, it's worth considering what sorts of things could be added to a game like that. Because we've got Obra Dinn, started it all really in that sense. Although I'm not sure what like games like Her Story and stuff could be put into that sort of thing as well, where you're basically just like trying to piece together and can make connections and deductions as you gather more and more information and put together a timeline or a series of events. So I do like the idea of, as an attorney, maybe you are reviewing security camera footage. Maybe you're doing some CSI type zoom and enhance bullshit, I mean, if there's any way you could the way that would work, it's in a video game. You might as well
100% like
recreate that experience,
especially if you got one of those sort of things where you can actually, as you go in, because I've seen some artwork recently where you can
zoom infinitely almost,
Yeah,
or at least it's just high resolution enough that,
Oh, it's not even high resolution enough. It's just like, okay, now the next picture we're just going to hide here and it'll just add in as you get to that point and just allow you to zoom that all the way in. And
this is almost a different game. You could set a game like this in one of those sorts of things where it's an infinite canvas zooming constantly in and you have to find the next one, and sometimes you have to zoom out to like, oh, that clue matches back something like 3 zooms ago. Yeah. Anyway, that's a different game. But no, I do kind of like that, and maybe this is also a different game, but having super high-res photos like that where you are having to hunt down information in maybe just relatively few large images, but like, in this corner you end up, there's a series of photos and you can zoom in far enough and you can literally read the names under each one, and down here is a newspaper and you can zoom in and you can literally read a whole article on it, like without it cutting to a different thing, just like it's built in a way that you're almost from a series of still images, then having to put together this timeline or this profile or whatever it is for a bunch of different people. That could be cool as well.
Yeah. That's really
we're way
cool.
off. We're way off from the original game.
We're on tangent. But it doesn't
tangent
matter.
after tangent. But
we're talking about games that don't exist. So we can talk about games that go off on tangents.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, click.
Yeah.
Kidnapped Soul.
Soul? Ooh.
SOLE.
So well, that's interesting because electrical degenerate or degenerate.
Degenerate. Okay.
But I like soul because like electricity, conductiveness, like rubber.
Yeah. And then there's some sort of kidnapping that is sort of happening. Maybe the kidnapping happened by this degenerate. They're trying to get money, from a certain I know, I've gone political.
You couldn't quite finish that sentence after all that.
I didn't want to finish that sentence because it reminded me about the real world, like what's happening out there.
Right.
And my friend, all our friends in the US, I'm sorry for what you're going through right now, and don't worry, the rest of the world, we're hearing exactly what's going on, and we're all scared with you. And
we're scared for our country too. We've got an election in less than 4 months.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And they're trying to do some of the same things. Like, they're taking from the same playbook.
They keep calling him Timu Trump, but I think that understates his danger.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
I just keep on calling him
At least we have preferential voting. At least we have preferential voting. Yeah.
And the fact that everyone has to vote.
Yes, mandatory preferential voting. Hopefully that will at least give us a minority government.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the best we can hope for, honestly.
Kidnap soul. Let people degenerate. Do you like the idea of this being like an escape sort of thing?
Oh, okay. You've been kidnapped.
You've been kidnapped. You now are just trying to escape this that you've been put in.
Yeah. Yeah. So a bit like The Movie Room.
Maybe a little bit. I haven't actually seen that either.
Is that the one I'm thinking of with Brie Larson? And I think she's got a kid with her, though.
Yeah, she's got a kid with her.
It's pretty dark and depressing, but it's good from my recall. But maybe we don't get down that road exactly. But yes, I mean, I think
panic room, but
sort
with
of an
a
escape room in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more of an escape room, which basically has, these are the different things that need to actually happen here. And
yeah. Although with the electrical thing, it could be interesting if it is a bit of a panic room situation almost. Maybe it's an attempted kidnapping.
Yeah.
And then you've got, like, you can't leave, but you've got cameras, potential, like you've got a view of the outside. And it's a bit of a, what can you do from in here?
I'll, kind of a little bit of Five Nights at Freddy's in the fact that you're looking at a camera. You've got X amount of, battery power that you can actually use. So you can't.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. It could be more. Yeah, if you've got this kidnapper, like,
trying to get at you.
Trying to find ways in, and you have to
activate locks in different places and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And then, the next night they bring along other friends. Like, I know it's like,
or
the
next night someone comes along looking for you, and you're having to protect them from, like, so they don't get hurt. They're out there. You're at least safe in the panic room. They're out there, and now you're sort of having to balance. Oh, we don't want to be in the same place at the same time. Yeah, you could have that escalate interestingly over multiple nights.
Yeah, I'm thinking
or multiple days.
What, 5? That doesn't seem like something that's happened before.
5 seems like a good number,
Yeah, it's got nothing like FNAF, which was 6 nights, obviously.
Yeah, SNAF. That's the well-known game series, SNAF.
and the next movie, SNAF 2, is coming out.
I mean, honestly, it's a much more pronounceable acronym. They should have just gone with 6.
No.
SNAF is. No, SNAF. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, everyone goes, FNAF. And it's like, no, SNAF. 6 Nights at Freddy's.
Just do 6. Just add a night. Come on.
And Freddy's is the name of your place or the name of the panic room. So it's...
All right, 3, 2, 1, click. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Delayed communicating.
Classic arse. ASS.
Classic arse.
Yeah.
And delayed communicating.
I'm thinking, they've just seen Avengers Endgame, and they're continually quoting, that is America's ass. The whole Chris Evans, loves his own ass sort of thing. And that's where we just get rid of that. But it's classic. It's a classic.
It's classic ass.
Delayed
communicating makes me think of, like, maybe between, like, space travel potentially.
Okay. You've been on an interstellar trip.
Yeah.
And you're on your way home, and all you're trying to do is avoid spoilers of Avengers Endgame.
So it's a Roottrees type game where you're going through all of the messages. I do. You know what I do find interesting actually with that, and what I thought of. You're coming back from this interstellar trip, so you're getting the compressed time version of all of these things. They're like catching up with you as you travel back to them.
Yeah.
So the time between them is proportional to your speed, essentially, but you're seeing a very sped up thing. And of course, you know, we all know you can end up coming back 80 years later or something, and your whole family is dead or old. But
yeah.
You get to see their whole life.
Funnily enough, their descendants look exactly like your family. And so you kind of wake up Flight of the Navigator style, and you like.
Well, no, I'm thinking you don't even directly communicate with them. I'm thinking you're getting all these messages from literally the time you left. And it's the Matthew McConaughey Interstellar thing of, you know, seeing the time has passed. We keep on talking about
movies that I have not seen. I have not seen Interstellar.
Okay, that's a good.
That's one that's been on my list for a very long time. But it's like Tenet.
Christopher Nolan.
It's like Tenet. I have not seen that either.
Tenet's a miss.
It's one of these things of I need to be in the right mood, and you know it wasn't until 2 years ago that I even saw Shutter Island, and that was a good movie. Like that was good, but I need to be in the right mood for these things.
Yeah, I get you. I
can't just go out and watch some of these things, even though I've seen certain parts of it. I just don't know everything that's going to go on.
It's the ugly cry moment in Interstellar, basically.
Great. Now I know that there's a crying moment in it. That I'm going to
help you get in the right mood. It'll help you get in the right mood. But no, like I feel like you're coming back and you're seeing, you know, the first message you see is from your son saying like, you know, so proud of you, Dad, for going into outer space. Like, I'm sorry you're going to miss my 8th birthday or whatever. But then, like, 2 minutes later, you get another message from him, and he's like 12. And then, you know, and in between, you're getting them from other people or seeing news or avoiding a spoiler for Avengers Endgame.
I love that it's like you've got this filter on the entire time. You know, not getting anything with Avengers Endgame, but you get back and you find out that like because it was just a thread at one stage that because you said don't mention anything about Avengers Endgame, you missed all this stuff. Because it was in the title.
I was thinking that exact thing.
You missed your whole family's like life because they all were replying to that thread.
They were all replying to our group text thread about Avengers Endgame. You're like thinking the whole time, like, oh my god, what happened to my wife and to her, you know, to my kids, and I didn't get any messages from them. All I'm seeing is
reply all every fucking time.
Just an email. You get back and it's like your great grandchild you know, tells you, oh yeah, we kept all the emails we sent you, and he's like, what do you, I didn't see any emails. They're like, god damn it, great granddad. Check your phone. You had it on mute.
It was one of these things that they knew that you couldn't respond, so they were just sending you these things continuously because they weren't expecting you to respond, but they expected you the entire time to have been reading it. But because it had Avengers Endgame,
you said it before you left. Line. Yeah, it's like I'm going to watch Avengers Endgame when I come back from this trip. I don't want any spoilers. It's coming out 1 week after I leave. That might be the best narrative irony, like ironic narrative that we've ever come up with.
It's so like I've dealt with this shit before where people just hit reply all and they keep the same thread going even though the conversation has changed so fucking long ago, and just the fact that, you know, he put that ignore filter on. It's just the funniest fucking thing. He only gets the occasional email and just missed all the rest.
He does with everything.
He comes back thinking that his family hates him.
But
then he watches Avengers Endgame and you see at the end it's like,
worth it.
unread messages 250,000.
Right, he finally takes off the mute. Oh my god!
Like,
right.
Fuck!
That's really funny.
Oh my god, that's so good. Okay,
all right. You reckon?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, no, we'll call it there.
Yeah, I think
it can be a short
we'll
one. That's such a good ending. It goes, oh, I get that reference now. He's America's ass.
That's where it started. That's when he first put the block on, because someone was like, "Oh yeah, it's a reference to Avengers Endgame." It's like, I haven't seen it yet. They didn't send it on my ship.
But the whole thing is him coming back in time or some bullshit like that, and it's like, oh my god, I lived.
I lived Avengers Endgame.
This. Oh fuck.
You find out that the NASA actually sent you a copy of Avengers Endgame as well, like a month into your trip.
Yeah, and you could have watched
because they knew you wanted to see it. You could have watched it the whole time. You could have watched it 100 times. But you had it muted because they put the title in the subject line. Avengers Endgame.mp4.
Oh fuck. Okay.
Right. Yep. Well, let's call it there. If you would like to find all our previous episodes online, go to podchaser.com/bitstorm. You can find them all there. Check them out. Leave us a review. Leave us a rating. Whatever you want to do.
Mm-hmm. And if you like the song that we play at the start and end of each episode, that song is called Mount Defiance, off of the album Containment Failure by the band Kuradust. You can find it at kuradust.bandcamp.com for free.
Yeah.
That's it.
Check it out. So thank you again for joining us this week on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I'm Trevor Scott. And
3, 2, 1, stop.